conference, March 20th through 22nd. We haven't announced it yet. We're going to be sharing that. I belong to a mastermind, collective, super bad group of people. I don't even know what the word is, called the Legendary Collective. And it's a group of 7 women who we are just bad. And we're going to be talking about at the conference, we're going to have a panel discussion about what it means to create your own legendary life. And if you have not gotten your ticket, if you haven't registered, I don't know what you're waiting for. We've been given all kinds of specials and incentives, and you're part of the inner circle. And so you need to find a way to be there. You need to find a way to be there, to invest in yourself. And so, Patrice, when you talk to people who, I've had people send me emails and say, oh, I don't live in Atlanta. Okay, we have people coming from all over the country, California, Chicago, Dallas, Connecticut, all the DC area, North Carolina, South Carolina, and even when people say, I don't have the money to come. Right. And there is an absolute where there is no money to come, but I always ask people to explore that excuse. So Patrice, talk a little bit about that, about some of the excuses that people come up with that keeps them from making that investment in themselves.
That wears me out. Can I just tell you, that wears me out. I actually was interviewing Dr. George Fraser from Power Networking a few weeks ago. And the story that I told him was that I actually first became aware of him when I was 20 years old. I heard about Power Networking. I was Steve Harvey's intern back then, and Steve was going to perform. And I saw the flyer, like the printout. It wasn't even flyers like that back in the day, right? It was like a full four-page brochure type of thing. And I was reading it. It talked about financial education and entrepreneurship and, legacy building and all these things. I was 19. I just turned 20. And I thought about the people that I was around, like the conversations I tried to have with my friends at school. And I was cool. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to paint the picture like I was some like super bookworm, because I wasn't. But I was very into just this idea because I'm from the hood, right? Like I'm Belizean American, but I was raised in South Central Los Angeles, where it did feel like everyone lived in an apartment, drive-bys were normal. It was not legendary. It didn't feel trying to get out. And when I was in college, and I would have these conversations with my girlfriends, like, so what do you see for your life? Like, I guess I was always kind of coaching or trying to get people to future pace, right? And I didn't like the answers. I was like, girl, that's all you want to do. You came to college. You came to the University of Southern California to be basic. That does not make sense to me. And I was 20, talking crazy. And I saw this thing, and I knew that it was for adults. I knew it was for more mature people. I didn't ask Steve. I didn't ask his manager at the time. I saved my money. I did the registration on my own. I saved my money, got an airline ticket. By the time I had the money, because I didn't really understand, like, just make a reservation and you figure out your hotel money later. I was young, right? So by the time I tried to make a reservation, it was sold out. But I had my ticket and my plane ticket, and I was like, well, I got to figure it out when I get there. My mom had a friend that lived outside of Cleveland. I'm coming from LA to Cleveland, Ohio. Never traveled by myself at that point. And they lived so far outside the city. They were like trying to get me back and forth. And they were like, you're going to have to find a way to like figure this out. And this woman took me in and let me sleep on the couch of her suite and all this stuff. And when I look at the notes, when I was moving, I looked at the notes from there. And Doreen, I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, 18 years later, so many seeds were sown into me at that time that are no doubt in my mind a part of why I am who I am, why I think the way I think, and why I move how I move. I was 20 years old, and I knew that if the people around me ain't getting it, if they're not willing to go to the next level where I want to go, because I didn't come here just to get a degree. I came here to get this education, but there's something beyond here. Some people stopped at getting the college degree and they felt like, okay, now I've made it. I knew that the degree wasn't going to be enough. I didn't even like what they were teaching. So I knew it wasn't going to be enough, right? So I had to go put myself in an environment that could fuel and feed who I knew I wanted to become. I was 20 years old. So when I hear 30, 40, 50-year-old people talking about their friend wouldn't come with them,
right.
I don't have tolerance for that. I don't have tolerance for that, because you do what you need to do to get where you're going. I did not believe, I could have never imagined calling those people from that flyer and saying, now, are you going to bring this to LA?
Right.
Are
Right.
you going
to come to, now I'm in Atlanta. Are you going to come to South Carolina?
Absolutely not. That's my favorite thing too. When people ask me if I'm coming to these really obscure places, it's like, you don't even have 30 friends that you can gather in my honor. Absolutely not. Like, you need to come to a central meeting place, and you need to get out of your comfort zone. And I'm glad that I went, and I'm glad that I continue to go places without anyone that I know, because I want to learn. I want to be free to explore, to network, to meet people, to build new relationships. I don't need to go somewhere buddied up with my friend. Like, for what? You're in a hotel, it's safe. You okay? It's a crowd of people. We're not going somewhere late at night in a dark alley. I don't need Doreen to hold my hand. If I need to go get what I need to get, I'm going to get what I need. I run into people when I go to conferences all the time, and they're like, are you a speaker? No, ma'am, I'm here.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to learn to be poured into. Why don't you sit down and not try to bring attention to what you think you know about me? We gonna sit here and learn together. Because we're always learning. If you're not learning, then you're not growing. If you're not growing, then just tell God you're ready to go on home. Like, just go on. But you have to get out of your comfort zone, which I know I'm preaching to the choir because you guys are here in the inner circle. So you clearly get it. But it's really frustrating as someone who really has a heart to pour into people that, again, that self-sabotage, people will create excuses for why they can't go and get their healing, or they can't go meet their tribe in person. And some things you need to be in the room. Some things, even if every session is recorded, Doreen, everything that really goes down for me is in the hallway. Nothing like the ladies' room, the hallway, the lobby, the conversation on the elevator. That's where you meet people, where you build relationships for a lifetime. It's not even always on the aisle with you when you're sitting there taking notes.
Yes. And I can 100% relate to all of that. And you're right. As someone who, I know what I have for the people who come in that room. I know how their lives will be transformed. And I know not because of my great PowerPoints or my great stories. I know because of the people who've come and whose lives have been transformed. Yeah. And so as someone like you who's a coach and a speaker, and it just like, oh my gosh, why aren't you here? Why aren't you moving mountains?
And I think people think that it's a sales gimmick, right? I think sometimes people think like, oh, they just saying that. No, when you know what happens in those rooms, like when you know what that energy feels like, when you know the healing that can take place, when you know the bonds that are formed, when you know the chains that are broken and you've experienced it, and I know because I've been in rooms where you have led and curated the environment, I know why you want people in that room so bad. It's not about selling a ticket. It's about, man, do you understand what can happen in your life? But people are so used to feeling like, oh, somebody's trying to get over on them.
Yeah.
I ain't just saying that. And we know, Doreen, that look, you got to be ready. When you're ready, the teachers will appear, right? You have to be ready. And like we said, you have to be committed. Because if you're interested, you're going to hem and haw. Some of you who were committed, you bought your ticket. You don't even have a plane ticket yet. You're like, let me go ahead and register, right? Let me go ahead and make But the people who are interested are like, let me see if my cousin gonna be in town, because I might have to stay with her. You're already creating all of these barriers and all of these excuses. It's about how you look at anything. If you commit to something, you commit to it and you figure out the details on the way.
Yes.
Period.